What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my main event breakdown and prediction for UFC Vegas 94. We have Virna Jandiroba going against Amanda Lemos. We are back in the Apex for a fun striker versus grappler matchup. And yeah, I can't wait for this one. I think there's some interesting spots from a betting perspective. We'll talk about all the betting angles. I'll give my prediction, the round, the method. And yeah, looking forward to breaking this one down. I think it's a good main event. It's a pretty easy one to break down, in my opinion. It's a closely lined fight. So yeah, a couple spots sticking out for sure. Before I get into it, if you guys could please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have not already, let me know down in the comments who you guys are liking for this fight. I feel like there's going to be strong takes on either side. That's typically the case on a pick'em type fight, striker versus grappler matchup. This video is brought to you by Daily Grind Fantasy. They take the lines from the sports books and give you the most plus EV plays on Prize Picks, Underdog, and many other daily fantasy websites. Use promo code DFSBTN and get yourself a 25% off for your first month there. And with all that out of the way, I say we get into this matchup here, which it's a fun one. I like this fight. You know, people are kind of crapping on this event, and I don't know. I'm just a big fan of both these fighters here. I always have been and always will be. But we'll start with Virna, who is 36 years old, 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. She's 20-3 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Amanda Lemos, 37 years old, 5'4", with a 65-inch reach. She is 14-3-1, and she is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Virna Jandiroba opened up -150. She is now a -130 favorite. And then we got Amanda Lemos opening up +130. She's currently +110. So money has came in on Amanda Lemos, which I think is kind of warranted. I think this fight should be closer to a pick'em. And that's because this is one of those fights where you can make a very strong argument for both sides. This is about as a striker versus grappler as you're going to get. Because on the feet, I think it's one-way traffic. I think it's absolutely one-way traffic. Amanda Lemos is going to be the much, much better striker. She has some of the best power in the strawweight division, and she's going against Virna, who is landing only 2 significant strikes per minute. She has a 38% striking accuracy, so she's not throwing much, and when she is throwing, she's not landing. She has no power whatsoever. I mean, the power difference in this fight is astronomically in favor of Amanda Lemos. You know, Virna Jandiroba, she's going to do the same thing she does in pretty much all of her fights outside of the Dern fight, and that's going to be completely sell out to get this fight down to the mat, because she has to in this fight. She absolutely has to get this fight down to the ground, and she's been good at doing that. You know, she's landing over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes, 36% takedown accuracy. Not the best wrestler in the world, but she's been able to get these fights down to the mat. And the thing about Virna is once she gets you down, you're staying there for the entire round or getting subbed, and I think that is the case in this matchup. Like, if Virna is able to take down Lemos, there's a very good chance, Lemos is not going anywhere, and that's the round or the fight. But yeah, Virna's been on quite a bit of a roll here. Against Lupi Godinez, she was able to take down Lupi twice in that fight. She was able to control her for about half the fight. Against Marina Rodriguez, she was able to take down Marina 3 times and control her for 12 minutes of that fight. And I think she was a pretty big underdog against Lupi. I'm pretty sure she was an underdog against Marina Rodriguez. And even against Angela Hill, she was able to take down Hill 3 times in that fight and control her for about 7 minutes. So these last 3 performances for Virna Jandiroba, I think all 3 of them potentially as underdogs. I know for sure she was a dog against Lupi and Marina. Maybe she was a dog against Hill. At the very least, it was a closely lined fight. So yeah, she's been going out there and cashing as an underdog. And this is a case where the line is actually in favor of Virna. I feel like the market has kind of disrespected Virna Jandiroba throughout her UFC career, and now she's getting a ton of respect because she's -130 against Amanda Lemos, who's an absolute killer. Amanda Lemos is coming off of a decision win against Mackenzie Dern in her last fight, almost a knockout win. I think it was the second round where Lemos completely destroyed Mackenzie Dern in that fight, or in that round. It should have been a 10-8, but it wasn't. I don't think any of the judges gave her a 10-8. But yeah, she beat the living breaks off of Mackenzie Dern. She dropped her, and she was like a couple seconds away from finishing her, it looked like. So yeah, it was one of the cases where Dern won the first round. Lemos, I think it was a 10-8, but won the second round, and then the third round was kind of back and forth, and they ended up giving Amanda Lemos the third round. I thought it really could have went either way, but yeah, that's a good win for Amanda Lemos there for sure. So yeah, I guess what it's going to come down to is whether or not Amanda Lemos is going to be able to stuff takedowns, and if she gets taken down, to survive. It's weird with Lemos. Of course, she got submitted in the first round by Jessica Andrade. That wasn't the best look. It was a standing arm triangle. And then she went out there and she was able to survive on the ground against Zhang Weili for 25 minutes. I thought that was very impressive. And then against Mackenzie Dern, even Dern was on top for a good portion of that fight. It looks like Dern got 6 minutes of control time, and Lemos was able to survive on the mat with Dern. Lemos is a black belt in BJJ, but of course you have to favor the grappling of Virna Jandiroba. I think Virna has some of the best grappling in the division right behind Mackenzie Dern. So, yeah, if Lemos can survive, if she can stuff takedowns, I think she looks like a massive favorite. I think she takes off Virna's head. It's just, there is a good chance that Virna is going to take her down here, and that's what's kind of worrisome for me, because if she takes Lemos down, I know for a fact that is going to be the round, and that could even be the fight. Virna's no joke on the ground, and Virna's very dangerous. Virna hasn't gotten a finish in a while. She wasn't able to finish Loopy, which there's no shame in that. She wasn't able to finish Marina, which kind of surprised me a tad. She wasn't able to finish Hill, but she was very close. So her last finished win was actually against Kanako Murata, where it was ruled a TKO because Virna snapped her arm and Murata didn't tap, so ended up getting a TKO. Her last sub win, though, was against Felice Herrig back in 2020. So it has been a while. But Lemos has been subbed before in the past. An interesting thing to mention in this fight is, it being 5 rounds, who is the 5 rounds going to favor? If you would have asked me this a couple years ago, I would have said Virna by a mile, but Lemos' cardio's looked weirdly good as of late. I think she's kind of dialed it in a little bit. Her cardio's looked better than ever. She went 25 minutes with Zhang Weili. She got a 3rd round knockout against Marina Rodriguez. That fight was scheduled for 5 rounds. She had some success in the 3rd round against Mackenzie Dern. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the 5 rounds favors Lemos here, believe it or not, at this point. Because we have seen Virna slow down in the past, and that's kind of to be expected when a fighter is going to completely sell out for the grappling like she does. Virna, we saw her in that Amanda Hebos fight just completely gas out. I'm not sure what was up with her in that fight, but yeah, she looked awful in the 2nd round. She gassed out in the 2nd round. She looked terrible in the 3rd round. It was just a terrible, terrible fight for Virna in that terrible look for Virna in that fight against Amanda Hebos. So I don't like that. So I'm kind of leaning Lemos here. It's one of those spots where if this fight hits the ground, you're going to be holding your breath because there is a good chance that Virna can lock something up. But I just think there's a much, much bigger discrepancy on the feet than there is on the ground. On the ground, Lemos, like I said, is a black belt. And on the feet, Lemos is just miles and miles ahead of Virna Jandiroba. The striking isn't even remotely close. On the feet, it's one-way traffic for sure. So yeah, I'm leaning Lemos here at dog money. She is currently plus 110. This lines came down a little bit throughout the week, but I'm more interested in the props. I think the prop market is very interesting this week. The over-under is set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 is minus 170. The under 2.5 is plus 140. The fight doesn't go to decision is only minus 180. I kind of think that's generous. This is a strawweight fight, but both these fighters are dangerous. Lemos has probably 1st or 2nd most power in the division. Jandiroba has probably the second best grappling in the division, the jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, I think Lemos KO, Virna sub are 2 very, very likely live outcomes. So, for the fight doesn't go at minus 180 in a 5-round fight between 2 dangerous fighters, stylistically, I like the fight doesn't go at minus 180. In terms of the 2.5, I would look at the plus money as well, but I'd like that extra couple rounds, and fight doesn't go up minus 180, my favorite spot on this fight here. And then if you're on the Lemos side, Lemos KO. Lemos KO makes a ton of sense, which Lemos by knockout is plus 240. I don't mind that. And of course, Virna by sub. And Virna by sub is around, I think, plus 220-ish, something like that. So Virna by sub plus 250 for Virna by sub. So yeah, I think the prop market on this fight is very, very interesting. A couple spots for sure sticking out. So in terms of a pick, give me Lemos. I'm going to take Lemos to win this fight by 3rd round knockout. I think she'll get taken down, survive, and then once she's able to keep this on the feet, I think she's going to take off the head of Virna Jandiroba. So give me Lemos KO3, but I'm loving an under. I'm loving a fight doesn't go. I think somebody gets served here in this grappler versus striker matchup. There you guys have it. Thanks for watching. Like on your way out. Subscribe as well. Full card breakdown video will be out shortly. Sorry for the delay, but yeah. Best of luck, guys. UFC Vegas 94 should be an interesting main event. See you later.